Hey, it's Brad from churchmediadrop.com, and I'm going to walk you through the February drop and show you everything that's included and how you can customize it for your needs, from anything from Sunday mornings all the way through to social media. So let's dive in and check out this drop. So the first thing I want to point your attention to is the style guide. This is a great place always to start. This shows you kind of the main look and includes all of the fonts. Again, fonts are really important to make sure you have them installed before you open up any editable files. So if you're going to open up theme files or presentation files, any of that stuff, or Photoshop files, make sure you have those fonts installed first. And I make this really easy for you because we have a fonts folder here, and we can go in and say like Meow Script. That's an interesting name for a font. We can just double click that, and it's going to open up a web browser and bring us straight to this font where we can click on Get Font and download and install that. Or the other option is you could go to FontBase is a free font management program. There is a paid version of it that unlocks some other features, but you don't necessarily need to pay for it. And this includes all of the Google fonts included. And so we can just click on Google here and we could say Meow, and if I can spell Meow right, Meow Script, and we can go in here and we just click the little green dot to enable it and we can turn it on. We don't have to download anything. And then we could go to Lexan, which is the other font, and we can turn on Lexan and Lexan Extra. And you can see all the different versions here and kind of what makes them different. You can see how they're kerning and the width of the characters gets wider and wider. So those are the different fonts there. I highly recommend FontBase. It's a great program. Now, let's continue looking through the rest of this. Let's check out the designs included. So let's go to our widescreen folder and go to our titles. And you'll see we have quite a few different titles here. So we have a communion one. These are in alphabetical order. So we have communion, upcoming events, all of these different giving versions. And then we have a couple kids versions. I really love how this one turned out, kids message and kids dismissal. We have a book of the Bible. So our kind of theme for the month is just a book of the Bible. So Matthew, Wisdom of the Ages. And then we have new here. We'd love to meet you. See you next week. Need prayer, team night, welcome. And we're glad you're here, as well as a night of worship. So those are the main designs that are included in this month's pack. And we also have, tech support versions. So we have a bunch of different tech support versions in here, as well as we have versions for social media, vertical versions, broadcast versions, the PSDs, and we have some extras. So let's check out our extras folder. And the first thing you'll see is our PNG titles. So if you want to just add these titles in on top of an existing design and you don't want to mess with the fonts, these are all ready to go that you can throw those in and kind of mix and match them. And then I've included a bunch of here. So there's a bunch of different textures. So if you're wanting to go in and do some design work and you want to add some textures that are similar to what's in this pack, I've included most of the textures that were used to create this pack. So now let's take a quick look at one of these files in Photoshop. And you'll see here I have our Need Prayer one opened up, and you'll see that we have an extra spot here to have a subtitle that we can update and put in like your website information, or you could do that inside your presentation software. And we can edit this title and make it say whatever we want. So we could change this out into a new one, new design. And you'll again notice that we have Meow Script as our title case, and then the rest of it is this Lexan Extra. And so we could go in and update that to be whatever we want. But then below there, we have our background, and you'll see we have kind of this side object, which is actually, if we transform this and kind of bring this across, it's this crazy woodcut texture thing that I was just using the edges of. So lot that you could do with that, as well as we have our lines that are up here in the corner. This is its own big, huge, giant texture that you can use and modify and use for other designs or place differently. We have this woodcut design down here, which again is another really large texture that you can use in any way you want. We have some more lines, and then our main background and a gradient overlay, a gradient map overlay there that you can mess around with. So that's what's included for all Church Media Drop members, but for Church Media Drop Plus members, you get Canva and ProPresenter templates, and so let's check those out. So in your templates folder, you'll see that you have a Canva folder here that will pull up any of these Canva URLs, and so we could go to that same same prayer one. Let's find that prayer right here, and we can double click that URL file, and it's going to pull up this, and we can say use template for new design. And now we can go in and we can start editing this. Now, one thing is it does not allow you to have two different fonts inside of the same text box. So things are a little bit different. You'll notice that this N is actually its own text box that's been lined up next to the rest of this. But you can still edit all of this. All of these fonts are included in Canva, and you'll be able to edit those, as well as you can, again, move around any of these elements just like you could in Photoshop. So these are really, really easy to edit and customize to be whatever you want them to be. Now let's jump over into ProPresenter and check out our ProPresenter theme. So I include a style guide inside of ProPresenter and a big reminder that if the fonts don't look right, you need to make sure the fonts are installed before you open ProPresenter. So make sure you open those before. And again, it tells you what fonts are included, and it gives you all of the colors here that we can use with our color picker. So let's show you how to do that real quick. So if you want to make sure that you're using maybe this cream color as your main title color, and maybe you wanted orange or this other orange as a highlight color, or maybe even this blue, we can go and add those to our system color picker. So I'm just going to go to my color picker, and I've actually already added them in, but you can just grab the eyedropper tool, eyedrop this, and then you can just drag and drop this right into your color picker. So we can do that with any of these. So maybe this neon blue color here is a nice highlight color that we would want to drop in and use maybe to highlight some text. So we can go in here and say, I want that text to be that highlighted blue, and now we have that highlighted blue color in there, and we don't have to mess around with trying to color pick from an image or anything like that. Now, all of the text that's used on all of the slides are editable, and in ProPresenter you can have two different fonts in one text box, and so that's how I created these. So you'll go in here and you'll see that this first one is MeowScript at like 400 point font, and this is for a 1920 by 1080 screen, and then the rest of the text in here is at point. So we have very mixing sizes here, but it looks great together. And we can go down to our subtitle, and you'll see that this is just Lexan regular at like 60 point, and that looks really nice. And then we have a bunch of different options in here that we can go through, including we have our February events with this nice bullet point list, and we can go in and go down and check out what our tech support graphics look like. So we have spots for our scripture, we have main points that we can do, as well as I included, some highlighting in here that you can do, and you can do some interesting stuff like we can go in and mix and match characters. So let's say you're doing this important quote or key phrase and you want it to have a little bit of the flair of the main titles. Well, it's really easy. We can highlight this I, and then we're just going to go over to our fonts, and we're going to choose MeowScript, and we can just size this up until it looks right with the rest of the font. So, maybe right around in here at like 240, that's looking pretty. And we can also do this for lowercase, so we can go in here and say that lowercase k, let's change that, and we can size that up as well. And this just brings a little bit more interest to your design without having to do too much work. So we could say that's pretty good there, and then just resize this text box. Now, if I was doing this, I would probably go through, if I'm mixing these, and I would probably make this, instead of semi-bold, I'd bring it back to maybe medium. For all of this text here, medium or even regular, and let the interesting characters be more of our guide of what this looks like. But that's all stuff that you can kind of mess around with, but this just kind of brings in a little bit of that look. However, when you apply themes to text boxes, you can't mix fonts in one text box. ProPresenter doesn't know which characters should be which font and which size, so when you apply a theme, it's only going to be one font. So if we look at our themes here, you'll our main theme and our lower thirds one. And for our main one, I only included the scripture and quotes because all of our title fonts include multiple different all of our title designs include multiple different fonts. So I didn't want to have that one have both of them in it. And so if you want to use this mixed stuff, I would recommend that you copy and paste from the presentation and not use the theme necessarily. But this theme is perfect for doing, main points and scripture. And then we also have our lower third version, version, which includes all of those in a lower third version as well. I hope you love this pack. If you have any questions about how to utilize it or any problems along the way, make sure to shoot me an email, brad@churchmediadrop.com.